Jamie Bulger, 20 years on. Let's talk about it.
Jamie Bulger, yeah, man. I can't believe it's been so long, first of all, but it was horrible. It was horrible. I did get a chance to watch the documentary that ITV just put out, and I knew a lot about this case because this was something at the time. I was very young, but I remember the impact it had on the nation, and I couldn't understand what would make somebody do something like this. Like everybody should be familiar with the crime, the barbaric crime that took place, but what could be in a child that would make them do something like this at such a young age?
That's it. It's crazy. It was a horrific incident that took place, and it left a lasting memory in people who was around at the time when it took place in the early 90s. 12th of February 1993. The youngster, he was 2 years of age. He was taken around the city from shopping centres by two youths. An unspeakable torturous acts was done to the poor 2-year-old. He was put on train tracks, beaten, all types of stuff. I ain't gonna go into the details. I say most people are very familiar with the case.
Yeah, most people are very familiar with the case, especially if you live in Britain. But this was a sickening one, and I mean, let's look at the youth who committed the crime now. Let's call their name John Venables and Venables and Thompson. I don't know Thompson's first name, but John Venables and Thompson. Now, these children were 10 years old. What possesses a 10-year-old to take a child from its mother, take him down to a train track, and do the unspeakable things that these children did? Now, at the time, like we just spoke off air, they tried to blame it on the film Chucky. Child's Play, the first one, and no child who's 10 should be watching that anyway. But if you have happened to watch it, how does that film translate in killing an innocent little child like that?
That's an excellent point, because there has to be a little bit more going on in the psyche and in the mental of a 10-year-old child to want to do that. I mean, you look at the classic examples when the psychiatrists go into the detail and work with these people. It's uncovered that, you know, they're self-harming themselves. Maybe they're torturing animals. They're killing neighbors' pets. You know, if they've got siblings, they're doing, you know, little things with them. So it's something which is it's manifested, and it's been there for some time, and it's down to the parents. Maybe the parents had some kind of impact or influence on it, but also, why weren't they picking up on these signs or this behavior? This doesn't just happen out of the blue. You don't just go and say, okay, mom and dad, I'm going out, see you later kind of thing, and then they go out and do them kind of acts. Something had to have triggered it.
Well, I mean, if you look at the murder on a whole, and you look at these two monsters, because that's what they are, monsters, you have to ask yourself, as a parent, why were 10-year-olds in Liverpool city centre alone? Why were they there? And this is something the news haven't built upon. Were they there looking for a child? If it wasn't Jamie Bulger that day, would it have been another child? Or was this an opportunist thing where they've just spotted Jamie Bulger and thought, let's get him? Was it an opportunist thing, or was this a premeditated thing? That's the question that we have to really ask. Now, these two children, we're going to get into the aftermath too, but the parents should have picked up on the signs, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't just 0 to 100.
Yeah, exactly.
They must have been doing little things in between. I mean, like you said, rightly so, you have these children who do terrible things to animals, who show signs of sickness from a young age. The parents should have picked up on this. Yeah,
that's it. And also, you've got the authorities, i.e. the schools, teachers, people who they interact with adult-wise. You know, these signs are there. So, you know, and not much in the way, I mean, there was a lot of news about the sickening acts and the murder that was taking place, but nothing was really, no detail, as we're highlighting now, is what was driving it. You know, they confessed. There was a confession and stuff, but there was no real detail to what was driving it, what was the factors behind it. You know, it just seems that they've been brought to justice, most definitely, and one of the two parties seems to be more rehabilitated than the other.
Okay.
You know, so I mean, it's something that we have to look at, and they need to really expose the truth to the public, so then other people can maybe highlight these things in their children.
Well, I mean, these were minors, but I'd have to disagree respectfully that they were brought to justice, because these guys are ultimately out there living their life now. I think the key should have been thrown away. No matter what age, the fact that you could take somebody's life like that. And for those who don't even know, one of them resided right up there in the Birmingham area. Did you know that? Yeah, Venables, I think it was, and actually worked in a Domino's Pizza.
I didn't know.
Allegedly, I'm going to say allegedly,
okay,
but this is what.
Yes.
And this is something that this must be embedded in this man's mental, because he is now being allegedly arrested again for child pornography.
And it's not the first time. This is like the second or third incident of this. Now this again shows to the root of what's going on with the psyche of this person. You know, they've committed this act. Shouldn't the time spent in prison be to rehabilitate? It seemed, I mean, I'm sure there was reports whilst he was in prison, he was caught trying to in possession of child pornography.
Wow.
So like, where does it stop? How does it stop? And how is it bred? How have we got from killing a child, growing up into a teenager, and then start to, you know,
do things like this? Yeah. I mean, I want to say something, and as inappropriate as it may be, I believe the identity of these two should have been revealed to the public.
Yes.
Let the public be the judge. Because those folks up in Liverpool were livid. I seen some footage earlier of a prison van being damn near turned over.
Yes.
Trying to get to these two animals. These ain't children, these are animals. I mean, let's not blame the parents. I mean, maybe they were exposed to some terrible events growing up, but there's no way you gotta have a heart. You gotta have a heart.
And it shows a lack of. It shows a lack of, because doesn't seem to be any remorse. Doesn't seem to be any kind of upliftment, any kind of positive change. It just seems to be like a steady downhill trend for this Venables, where we don't hear too much about the other one, the Thompson dude.
Yeah, we don't hear about him.
He's clearly, you know, not clearly. He may have repented from his wicked ways, and he's trying to do something good, because you don't hear about any convictions or anything crazy that he's doing.
I would say that Venables is actually the ringleader of these two. The fact that Thompson, you ain't heard of him again, because based upon the Heavenly Creatures book, you familiar with that?
No.
Based upon that book, we'll get into that another time. It just shows like the mind of sick, twisted people. I would say Venables was the ringleader. He probably led Thompson into that, but we can't bring back the mother's child, and it's just based upon that. This story has been so sickening that it stuck with me all the way up to my adult years, because when I had my first child, which is my son, if I go out, I don't never let him out my sight at all. Because I know there's barbaric people in the UK like this, so I do not let him out my sight at all, based upon that, because I remember the story as a child. So
it was big news. Protect your children.
That's it, man. Protect your children, man. If you got any comments or you want to talk about it further, leave a comment in the comment section below.